everyone, welcome back to Void Art Studios, and today I'm going to be reviewing the Orion Blasters Lynx and the Orion Blasters Minx. The Lynx and Minx are two very interesting blasters. They were both made by Orion Blasters and they are 3D printed designs. And, well, the thing with them is they're kind of cut from the same cloth. So I'm going to be doing the overview primarily of the Lynx, and then I'll talk about the things that the Minx does different afterwards. And then of course I'll fire them both, and then I'll bring them in and talk about them both. Alright, let's start off with the Lynx. Up at the front, you of course have my Dart Zone B-Car mounted on to the barrel. This is an 18-inch barrel from Out of Darts, and this is what I use for my Lynx. Right behind it you have two sling mounts up in the front, one on each side, that correspond with two rear sling mounts in the stock. They're pretty good little sling mounts, and so I sit there on both sides, which makes this blaster completely ambidextrous. Anyways, sorry. Up top here you have the tactical rail. It is a Picatinny style tactical rail, obviously, so any Picatinny attachments will work. Below that you have the priming block. And the priming block also has Picatinny rails, so you can also put whatever attachments you see fit on there. I have on both of them this Pyragon-esque foregrip. I don't know what it's called. The person I thrifted these blasters from, or thrifted, I got them pre-owned from somebody in my group, had these, and they're very comfy and they're very nice, so I put them on both my Lynxes. Or put them on both my Lynx variations. Well, actually I had this orange one on my Caliburn, but my Caliburn broke, so I just moved it over to the Minx. So yeah. But of course, to prime the blaster, you pull back to prime the spring and open the breech, and then you push forward to close the breech. Back behind there is these screws, which are for undoing the barrel. You loosen the two screws and you can pull the barrel out, and then when you put the barrel in, make sure you tighten them as well. And of course down here is the trigger and grip. The grip is pretty comfortable. It's a decent little grip. Though I do kind of wish it had some little finger choils, but whatever, that's just mild ergonomic complaints. And of course, to fire, you pull the trigger. This one does tend to get stuck sometimes in the rear position, but upon priming it again or just flicking it from behind, it will reset itself. Back here underneath is the plunger tube, in which I have some K25, because that is my favorite spring. And also, I can't tell if you know this, but when you pull this back, there's a little silver piece in there that aligns the plunger rod, since it uses a very unique style of spring compression mechanism. So what it does is it pulls the catch, since it's, you know, kind of folded in on itself and it uses a breech turnaround, what it does is it pulls the catch back to the rear, which compresses the spring into the plunger rod. And there's a little silver tube that aligns in there, that aligns the plunger rod, so that way it goes in every time. And then when you push it forward, that piece actually pulls the plunger head back. And then when you fire, it releases the spring and it fires as normal. Up above the plunger tube here is, well, the old handguard from my slab. As you can clearly tell, I got a new one. So I had not much use for the old one anymore. So I turned it into a cheek rest. Because it's printed very smoothly and I like the texturing. So I decided to use it as a cheek rest. And it works very well as a cheek rest. Of course, back here you have the stock and the magazine well. This blaster takes Talon magazines only. No katanas. No nightingales, no angled talons, obviously. Talons only. And the mag release is very touchy. That was the slightest little bit of pressure on the button and it released. And the magwell is pretty loose. But this doesn't impede feeding at all. This blaster still feeds very well. Oh, I short-stroked it. But yeah, this blaster feeds very well. And in the back of the stock, there is a pin. This blaster actually has a sort of toolless takedown. You do have to remove the barrel to take it down, but of course, you would remove this pin from the stock, and then you can take off the stock and take off the magwell, and now you can get into, well, normally if you have the barrel out, you can just pull back on the priming handle and the spring force will just push the turnaround out of the plunger tube, and then you can get to your plunger head and your spring. But the barrel actually seals very well to the turnaround, so yeah. But this blaster has relatively toolless takedown. Especially, it becomes fully toolless if you actually get thumb screws. But it also has a takedown pin at the front, I'm assuming, so you can take off the front piece for any specific reason. Who knows? I haven't actually gone through and taken one of these apart, so whatever. But yeah, that completes my overview with the Lynx. Oh yeah, the stock is very comfortable. It has a comfortable length of pull for a bullpup, especially for a blaster this tiny. With how far back the magazine is compared to the relative length of the blaster, this is an 18-inch barrel. This, here, you start, uses about a 15-inch barrel. Can you see the difference? And that is the advantage of bullpups. You can have more barrel for a smaller footprint. In most cases. In most cases, as I look back at my Moose 2. The Moose 2 also has an 18-inch barrel, and it's a beefcake. But, yeah. That is the Lynx. Let's move on to the Minx. Everything looks relatively the same. It's the same, you know, same front end, shorter barrel, obviously. You know, same metal barrel. I have a silly spigot on it instead of a Dart Zone B car. Same priming, same firing, same rail, same trigger unit, same stock, same toolless takedown, So what the hell is actually different about this thing? Well, it's the size. The Minx is much smaller. And if you line them up by the triggers, or by the grips, you can actually tell what parts are smaller. The draw stroke is slightly shorter, and the plunger tube, if I can get my damn hand out of the way, the plunger tube is also shorter, thus making the stock shorter. Now, the stock on the Minx, in my opinion, gets to the point of being a little bit uncomfortable with how short it is, but it's also not bad to use to kind of whip around and be a little more mobile. It's a very nice little compact bullpup for being mobile. And again, yeah, it's the same thing. I don't know what spring is in this currently, and I don't know how long the barrel is. I haven't actually taken measurements on any of that stuff. I probably should have before recording this. But, as is shown by the sticker, put on there by the person that I got this from, it's hitting about 130s in the FPS. Spoiler, sorry. Whatever. But, yeah, that's really everything that's different. It's just a shorter draw stroke, shorter plunger tube, shorter stock. There is another variant called the Lynx, which is the same concept as the Minx, but rather than being smaller, it's slightly bigger. So it's got a longer draw and a longer stock. Of course, also a longer plunger tube. And I'll tell you why that is after the firing demo. Speaking of which, let's take them outside and play with them. Alright, I am outside with the Lynx and the Minx, and, well, since I'm running out of daylight again, and I'm doing 2 blasters that use decent capacity magazines, I'm going to do things a little bit differently. So what I'm going to do is, instead of having 3 different magazines, 3 different 12-round magazines in total, I'm going to do 2 18-round magazines. So I'm still doing about my normal 36-round firing demo, but split between the 2 blasters. And I'm just going to be using one style of dart, that being ember darts. So, yeah. We will be starting with the Lynx. That's it for the Lynx. Let me scoot the target up, and then I'll fire the Lynx, or the Minx. Lynx, what? Alright, I've got the target up a little closer. Let's hit it with the Minx. I hope I can eyeball this. Oh, you gotta be kidding me. Whew! Okay, sorry about that. The plunger rod aligner came loose, came unscrewed. Alright, that is it for the firing demo of the Lynx and the Minx. Let's go back inside and talk about them. We are back inside with the Lynx and the Minx. Let's talk about them. So, first off, as always, I put these blasters up over my... It's not even over here. But I put the blasters up over my chronograph, or through my chronograph. And with the Lynx, I achieved an average velocity of 231 FPS. And with the Minx, I achieved an average velocity of 134. So yeah, they are hitting different FPS. And that's the point. So, what these blasters, the purpose of them is to be already, I guess, pre-tuned to different FPSs. Judging by the barrels that Out of Darts has on offer, the Lynx is meant for anywhere between like 150 and 250, 260. When I got this, it had a 2-foot barrel, and it was hitting like 260 on a prime I could barely even pull. But I gave the poor girl some rehab and a K25. And now she's hitting 230s. But yeah, what was I saying? Damn it. Oh, yeah. It can hit anywhere from, like, it's meant for anywhere between, like, 150 and the mid to high 200s. So it's really good for comp, actually. If you can get it tuned down for 200 FPS, you could probably get a really buttery prime on it. Actually, this barrel could do with being shorter. It is a little bit over-barreled, but not enough to where it completely ruins consistency. You can get the barrel to actually be shorter, but you are limited in your options of rifling, because you do need a rifling device that will fit within that priming block and the muzzle. So, I think it's Thon? I don't know. Has one called the Rip Car. I believe it's an acronym for resin immersion printed plastic centering in rotation. But that is the most popular P card used on Lynxes. And you could probably find any sort of compact P car or SCAR. I like using B cars, and I like using this one because it's a big and it's orange. Because this blaster does look relatively realistic sometimes if you the fact that don't think about the fact that the front is like a skeleton. Like, not even skeletonized, just skeleton. It's all the moving bones. But yeah. Anyways, we like the B car. And the same could be said for the Minx on the barrel, but this one, the Minx is meant for 100 to just a little over 200. So this is meant for super stock. This is meant to have a smaller, lighter, easier to prime blaster for super stock. For anything like below 200, like in the 150s and whatnot. which is not bad. And the reason why I wanted a Minx on top of my Lynx, so I wouldn't have to overly retune my Lynx if I wanted to use it indoors. I could just pick up my Minx. Because my group runs super stock FPS indoors, and then ultra stock FPS outdoors. But, yeah. And of course, I don't have one, but the Lynx, the big one, is meant for over 300 FPS. It's meant for really high FPS levels for, like, you know, 300 FPS caps, or, you know, uncapped, which, yeah, my group isn't uncapped, and that's why I didn't get a Lynx. I could have gotten a Lynx from that guy as well, because the Lynx and Minx were actually given to me by the same guy that I got the Caliburn and the Rivalburn from, and so he offered me his Lynx, and I was like, I wouldn't use it. I wouldn't field it. Because, like, it takes a lot of effort to get a Lynx down to under 250, which is our outdoor cap. But even then, it's doing exactly the same thing as this does. So then, what's the point of down-tuning this for indoors when this fits that role just perfectly? You know? So yeah, I didn't get a Lynx. You will not see a Lynx in this, or probably any future review. I don't know. I might cave and get a Lynx eventually. I want to get a Mega Burn, since I'm now addicted to high-powered Mega, thanks to a certain large Alaskan mammal. Anyways, I'm off track. On track. Becoming on track. Lynx, Minx, possibly Lynx, continuing review. In my personal experience, I have fielded the Lynx. I have not fielded the Minx yet. The Lynx is very reliable. I have plinked with both, though. The Lynx and Minx are very reliable, both in plinking and with the Lynx in actual gameplay. And I highly recommend these blasters. They don't get a similar emotional response out of me to using something like the Moose 2 or like, you know, anything super kind of unique, because they are just pump action springers, and they're just, yeah. I do have one complaint. I wouldn't consider this, like like how touchy the mag release is. I wouldn't consider that a complaint, because that's just how it was designed. It was designed for competitive play. But what I can't quite get over is, why is the mag in my armpit? This is how I shoulder my blasters, and this puts the mag pretty much like right in my armpit, which is not very comfortable. I mean, it's okay enough, but like it's like right in my armpit, which causes it to get pushed up against my torso because I'm fat. Whatever. That could just be a me problem, but yeah. And it also leads to issues reloading, because I don't want to have to like dig into my armpit just to pull out the mag and reinsert it. And then I can't even do this because my rig is already made for reloading from the right hand, because I do it with all my other blasters. But what I have done, and what you can do if this bothers you, is when you go to reload, since you'll most likely be behind cover and not, you know, targeting anyways, is to tilt the blaster up and then grab the mag like that, and then put your new mag in, and tilt the blaster back. So yeah, minor gripe out of the way. And again, the stock on the Minx is a bit short, but that's just, again, it's like the mag release thing. It's how it was designed. Speaking of design, holy crap, did designers just go ham on this platform. This is the base version of the Lynx and the Minx. This is the original, as Dan intended, I guess, version of the Lynx. There are so many cosmetic bodies for the Lynx. I'll show you a few now. I found pictures of a couple for the Lynx and a couple for the Minx, and I'll show you those on the screen now. But no, they're really cool how highly customizable they are, because if I recall correctly, they are a very, very simple and very, very linear skeleton. Because it's literally, it's these 5 bars run through the blaster. Well, these 3 bars run through the blaster because they're connected to the breech. And these 2 blasters here are, these 2 bars here are guides for not only the priming handle, but also just the parts of the body. And then you have the catch mechanism in this big bulge, the plunger tube back here, and then of course your breech and magazine well. And then you have your trigger, which just pushes the catch out of the way. This is a very simple blaster, which is easy to design around because, you know, it's so simple. So people have done it. People have made so many interesting designs for this thing, and it's really cool to see people's creativity. So yeah, just seeing how inspiring this simple bullpup pump action Springer is, it's really kind of cool. But yeah, I think I have blathered on enough. If you do want to purchase these blasters, I will leave a buy link in the description below for the hardware kit and the parts kit, and of course fully built kits for both of these blasters. I will not be doing one for the longs because I do want to say that if I do decide to buy and review the longs in the future, but I will put links for these two, for at least the base versions, on Out of Darts. If you want to get it printed and built a specific body kit, you may want to commission somebody either on Etsy or somebody within your group, because they're not being readily sold, though there are files up on possibly Thingiverse, but definitely printables. And yeah, I really hope you did enjoy this video. I really hope you enjoyed this video. If you did enjoy this video, then please leave a like, subscribe, all the corporate YouTube algorithm jargon, you know all the stuff to do. YouTube's been around for as long as I have. A little longer, actually. But yeah, anyways. Yeah. Comment your favorite body kit for the Lynx, and I will see you all in the next one. Goodbye!